Hey, sorry the mic pops a little bit. It's because it's kind of close to my face. Basically, I wanted to quickly update you while I'm editing this. Essentially, I have a new editing software. I'm using Premiere Pro. I was using WeVideo. Yeah, I know, sad, but we're past that. And so yeah, I can do cool effects like this, and well, we're gonna move past the WeVideo phase. So yeah, hope y'all enjoy the video ahead of you, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out. Hey, welcome to Blather 3. I know it has been forever since I've done one of these. And by the way, I want to make a quick comment, okay? On the podcast I uploaded I think a week ago. That is not a new podcast. I literally got it out so you guys thought, oh, he actually was working on stuff. Which I was, but that was literally the only thing I could squeeze in because right now it's getting close to the third quarter end for me, and I need to finish up stuff. So yeah. Anyway, so yeah, what I'm actually going to be talking about is school. Ironically enough, I'm going to redo the episode that I did in the past. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy this one. And yeah, let's get on to it. Alright, so we'll start with the first thing, okay? Which is I'm going to devote the first half, or first part, to being quarantined. I've been quarantined twice now. If you're wondering why, the first time was because... Sorry, take a drink. First time was because of football. Because I'm in the football team, and I got it because one of my team members got it, and I was near him, so I had the quarantine because of it. So that was interesting, and the thing is, what most people don't understand when people are quarantined, um, most people think it's like, oh, it's awesome because you barely have to do work, you get to wake up a little later, and stuff like that, which is true. And in some classes, you don't even do. However, it's not all great, especially when you're an extrovert like me. For context, I'm very extrovert. I like talking to people. I even like giving my opinion out. That's why I might eventually do commentary. Don't promise on it though. I don't promise on that at all. I don't know if I like getting the drama. But basically, when it comes to like me being told, hey, you can't go anywhere. I'm like, huh, that kind of sucks. What will I do now? And what I did was, because the guy who got me quarantined, he also likes playing like PC games like me. So I'm like, what if like whenever we both have a time where we're not on, we just start playing together, and we did that. So yeah, that's what we did, and that was good for the first time. Second time comes around, and this was actually when I got new glasses, and I was the guy who got quarantined me, I wasn't really in contact with, so you can imagine me like, huh, what am I gonna do now? But anyway, so my plan, what I did was I basically just, I don't know how to put this in any way other than just really, I kind of just worked out a lot and watched YouTube. That's what I did. Most of the time was me just either using my weights or watching YouTube, like outside of class. That or sleeping. Like for example, actually my best example was on block days. Now, this actually needs a little context. Block days at our school, what that means is if you don't know, certain days it will just be these type of classes or these type of classes. Okay, for us it's odd or even days. Okay, Tuesdays or odd days where it's like we just we just do odd or odd hours. Well, Wednesdays we do our even hours. This is important because on Tuesdays I would get out early because my last two classes I couldn't go to. So I would straight up just get out early of those classes. And on Wednesdays I would start later because my first 2 hours I didn't go to. So those are two very nice things. Like I'll fully admit the advantage of being able to sleep more or get out early is very nice, but there are some disadvantages. I think for most people like me, it's hard to learn on a computer. Like just being shown it, it's gotten better because using Google Meets and Zoom and all that, but it's still not great. Which I commend the school; they're doing a good job, but they ain't doing a great one. So yeah, that was my big problem, just trying to learn anything, and also just trying not to just basically just get distracted and just not doing my classes, cause um that was so hard though, just trying not to get distracted, cause you're just sitting there on a computer just bored out of your mind, cause it's so much hard. There's so many teachers I have that are they're actually funny. Like, they're chill people who like do good jokes. You do not get that experience when you're online because you barely even hear those, because all you hear is just like stuff like that. The way I did that. Anyway, but so, you know, it's so like that's what I don't think like that's I think that's what most people don't understand, is just that, that is so annoying sometimes. That's why I can never do online. I hate being quarantined, and one thing I hated the most was the fact that I couldn't go to Lyft. Which, by the way, Lyft is basically just we off like when we're off season, we just go to the workout room and just work out, and I loved it. Like, I loved it. I still love it. It's one of my favorite things to do because it just clears my mind. It makes me feel good. It's awesome. Anyway, but I'm not gonna get into that too much. I'm still talking about being quarantined. But so yeah, another disadvantage, in my opinion, was just for me it was lunch, because like when I was home, I was trying to make stuff, and like, which was impossible because we don't it wasn't really easy to get a lot of ready-made things because I couldn't really leave, obviously. But it's like there's certain things I don't really know by name. I just know by like the actual like what it is, like the logo. I'll see it, stuff like that. But so basically, it was kind of hard for me to get like do ready-made things. I also didn't want to eat many ready-made things because they're not really good for you. A good amount of them. And I was just trying to stay decently healthy when I was like quarantined. I always try to. But yeah, so that was my experience being quarantined. I would also like to talk about my experiences with classes throughout my years. I actually I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna go pretty early, actually. So this is gonna be about like some of the only like past stories you're gonna get from me, because all the other ones, they're not really like this one. Okay, so basically, my experience with most teachers is actually a pretty positive one. I don't have many negative experiences with teachers. And I'm going to talk about the good experience I've had with teachers. I'm actually going to talk about some of my favorites. And so I'm actually going to go back to my first ever favorite teacher, and this actually just a bar fact for me, if you know me, which is my 8th grade sorry, not 8th grade, 6th and 7th grade social studies teacher. I'm not gonna use his name, obviously. So I'm gonna use his name. His name was Mr. R, and he was amazing. He was super chill, and the best way I could describe him is he had that like old grandpa like type of vibe, like the kind of guy who would like tell you a story, and you'd be like, please tell me another one, kind of thing. He was a very comforting man who kind of inspired confidence in someone, which is really similar to another teacher I had, but I'll get into him later. And that was awesome. It was so awesome to be in that class because that just brightened my day. He was kind to everybody, and I think, and like, he especially liked me because like I would actually actively try in that class, and I actually liked history, so I would like, me and him could get into really good like conversations with each other. It was awesome. He was an awesome teacher. I ended up actually going to DC with him because there was like a trip we could take, and I am very lucky to go on that trip. I'm not even gonna lie to you. Because obviously, we ain't rich. It took me forever to get Premiere. But we ain't rich and all that, so like we obviously like did that as like a monthly thing, like little by little, and we barely even made it through. But I was able to go to DC, and I'm gonna be honest, it was my best experience of my life. I'll talk about that more another day though. My next experience was when I entered high school, which, obviously I'm still in. Like, I've already talked about this in previous videos. But basically, my next teacher that I ended up just like having an awesome experience with was my world cultures teacher. The thing is that's a mandatory class, by the way. Like when you like do freshman, you have to go to that class. It's more so like what world cultures, like what the class is just learning about other worlds, like other countries, cultures, stuff like that. You mean learn about how they are and like how they're doing, kind of thing. And that teacher was awesome. He was super chill, and he just was just a fun guy to be around. I loved him. He was awesome. He, in my opinion, though, he did not top Mr. R, though. Mr. L was awesome, though. He was an awesome teacher, and I loved him. He was so cool. And then we get to, we get to sophomore year. By the way, I'm not going to disclose what year, I'm in. You have to figure it out yourself. Anyway, I'm also only going to sophomore year, by the way. No, I'm joking. I'm a sophomore. Anyway, but basically, this year, I actually had 2 history teachers. And here's the thing. Context for me, I actually like history. I like learning about it. I think it's interesting. So if you notice, most of the history... and it's kind of weird to me how most of my favorite teachers are history teachers, because they're not only my favorite teachers. A lot of people like these teachers, too. My next 2 are world history teachers. The first one's Mr. Butcher. I shouldn't have said his name. The first one is Mr. B, is what we refer to him as. He was awesome. He was very similar to Mr. R, not right? Like he making just inspiring confidence kind of thing. Cause I'm not the one who actually came up with that original thing when he told me. Like with Mr. R, I did, but with Mr. B, someone literally told me he inspires confidence in me when I'm around him, and I'm like, yeah, I actually feel that. I get that. Like, he actively tries to make sure you do good, and he, does it in such, a nice way. It's awesome. And he's just an awesome guy. And, when I was told I was actually going to transfer to a different history class, which I don't even know why I was. It's not like I was failing that class, which, I don't get it. That was the most confusing thing to me. But, it's whatever. Anyway. My next history teacher, which is what I'm actually about to talk about, is awesome too. I'm gonna be honest. He is a really chill guy. I don't refer to him as Mr. This or Mr. That. I just refer to him as his last name. But obviously for this, I'm not gonna refer to him as that. So, I'm going to be calling him. Cause I usually call him by one name, so I'm gonna call him. Actually, no. I'm just gonna call him Mr. K. I think that would be easier. I was trying to think of K names, but then I realized I don't really know many. So, yeah. Anyway, Mr. K is awesome. In my opinion, he's just a younger version of Mr. B. He's a chill person who, is just trying to do the best for you. And he's, but one thing I forgot to mention about Mr. B, he is funny. He's actually a really funny, chill teacher. Same with, Mr. R and Mr. Lad. If you notice, my favorite teachers so far are the chill guys who are, cool to you. I wonder why I did good in those classes. Yeah. I don't even know what else to say about, Mr. K. You really have to be there to, know him. That's the best way to describe him, is that he was someone who was just so fun to be around. He was so nice, so awesome. It was great. Now, obviously, me talking about these teachers, I'll talk about good ones. Now, let's talk about the only bad experience I had with a teacher. And this would be very simple. The thing is, the only bad experience I had. This teacher later on, I actually started liking a lot more because, he ended up becoming my football coach. And you'll see why it's funny in a minute. But it's funny because, if you were to ask me last year, I would have said I hated him. If you asked me this year, I'd say I'm mixed because I don't know how I feel about him anymore. He's awesome, and yet at the same time, I don't know how I feel about him. So, because of what happened. Anyway, his name is, I'm just gonna call him Coach O, because I don't know, it's just kind of easy to use, I guess. Coach O. Yeah. So actually, I'm gonna call him Mr. O and Coach O. Basically, last year, because I was a freshman last year, what I did, I was in one of his computer classes, which the class was basically just figuring out, how to use common everyday things for, just your own personal thing. For example, Photoshop, slideshow presentation, stuff like that. Just simple stuff. And even we even made a game out of a PowerPoint presentation. It was pretty cool. And basically what we did was, is we essentially we were making, actually, wait, no. I was about to go into like a project, but I realized that year I actually had 3 bad experiences with them. Actually, no, 2 that were actually kind of bad. One big one. So I'm not gonna get into specific what project it was because I don't even remember. I think it'd be smarter if I straight up just say, "Hey, these were the experiences I had with this guy." So yeah. So we'll start with the first one that kind of like raised a red flag for me. Basically what happened was I was sick and came back and I'm like, hey, I missed today. What would we do yesterday? He seemed a little he seemed a little like annoyed, but I just assumed he was having a bad day. Sorry about the mic, by the way. I was just assuming he was just having a kind of crappy day, so I didn't really think anything of it. Like, just like was like, all right, here's what we did. He kind of said like that. I just assumed, hey, he was having a crappy day. Second time, I was sick. No, by way context. At this time, I was visiting my old town. Cause I wanted to see my friends and all that, and I wasn't too far. So I decided to visit, and every time I came back with a cold. I don't know why. One of the times I came back with a cold and a fever at the same time. Don't mix them. It's not fun. Like, it is not a fun experience. Like, you're constantly freezing and hot. I hated it. Anyway, but this was the second and third time that kind of thing happened. Second time I came back with a cold. So when I came back, I'm like, hey, I missed Tuesday. What happened? Can you tell me what happened? He looked at me and goes, are you kidding me? And I said, no, I was sick. And he kind of just looked at me and was like, all right, here's what we did. And I'm like, what? You knew I was sick. I was excused. Like, my mom called me in. I don't know. I assumed, again, he was having a crappy day, but I started to get some red flags. Kind of started to look out. Then the third time rolls around. And this was the one that made me, if you were to ask me last year, this would be the reason I hated him. I came back from my old town, and here's the thing. I was on the car ride back to my, here, where I am. I was wrapped in a blanket and had, I also had, most of my body both in and out of a blanket because I was freezing and so hot at the same time. I hated it. It was the worst experience one of the worst experiences in my life. Physically. I hated it. And so when I came back, I'm like, what do we have? I asked him, hey, what do we have to do? I was sick, man. Yeah. He looks at me and goes, are you kidding me? And I'm like, no, I'm not kidding you. I was sick. And I said it like that because I was annoyed. Because I felt so bad, that day. And I knew where this was going to go. Because, last time, but I didn't think we would go any further. And so I said it to him, no, I was sick. Like that, because I wanted to end it faster. Kind of stupid, I know, but that's what happened. And then he does something to me that I will never understand. He says to me, quote, no, you weren't. What? He said to me straight up, you were not sick. I looked him dead in the eyes and said, do you want to see the trash bin at home? Because I'll gladly bring it. I was so pissed because he's telling me I was not sick. And I literally was having one of the worst experiences of my life the other day. And you're telling me that just didn't happen? So yeah, that annoyed me. And then he realized, he kind of was at a roadblock. He knew, he started to realize, he can't get out of that. I bring this up because what he did next, that will explain what happened next. But basically, he realized he could not, he couldn't just what he was essentially trying to do was, if you ever heard of the two quick fallacy, what it is, it's discussion fallacy or, a logical fallacy where you try to, devalue a, person rather than the argument at hand. If you're wondering how we're getting this up, it's because that's what he was essentially trying to do to me next. Because what he does is he points to another person and says, she wasn't here yesterday and she has it. And the thing is, I will never know to this day whether or not they were looking out for me or not. I know I mentioned this in the podcast. I mentioned a lot of stuff in the podcast, but this is important things for me. What happened was, she goes, oh, I don't have it. I will never know if she actually had it or not. He just looks at her and looks at me, and I will never forget what he said, which was, quote, you got lucky. Hands me the paper, and I just go sit down. everyone was talking to me like, well, dude, what the hell happened? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, it was crazy. I explained to them. They're like, they really? That's it? And I just didn't know what to say. It was so confusing to me. Like, like I didn't understand it. And I don't even understand it now. It's whatever. So yeah, that's my experience with him last year. This year, he was really chill. And I think that's just because quarantine for a lot of us just sucked. None of us wanted to be in it. So I think he kind of just, took he stepped back. He just kind of realized himself. As far as I know, he's still kind of the same in other, like classes, but I hope, I genuinely hope he gets better because, like in my class, I think it's the most real I've ever seen him, and he's actually a really cool person. I don't want to see him, just be teacher I remember as just the guy who, claimed I wasn't sick. I don't want to remember him as that, because he seems more than that. And in football, obviously, he's the angry, yelly coach, but at the same time, he's also the coach that's understanding. And I'll never, and that's what made me think twice. I genuinely hope Mr. O, I genuinely hope he, just gets kinder outside of football. But yeah, that's all I have to say in today's episode of Bleh Blather. I hope you all have a great day, and I'll see you in the next episode. Alright, peace out, y'all.